Տարիների ընթացքում ձեռք եք բերում սեփականություն, կուտակում եք մեծ գումարներ, իսկ մտածել եք, թե ինչ է լինելու դրանց հետ ապագայում։ Լավագույն որակավորում ունեցող իրավաբան Մարիա Պրիմուշկոն իր բազմամյա հաջողակ փորձով կօգնի ձեզ ժառանգության փոխանցման, կտակ կազմելու եւ ձեր ունեցվածքն ապահով պահելու հարցում։ Estate planning, bankruptcy, personal injury եւ այլ իրավական հարցերով դիմեք MVP Law Group։ Ձեր ընտանիքի ապագան կախված է այսօրվա կայացրած որոշումից։ 818 788 7881
Good evening, dear friends. You're watching MVP Law Group show and its host and attorney Maria Primushko. As you know, we discuss during our programs all the issues, mostly legal issues relevant to our communities. And today we're going to talk about elder law. We're going to talk about our eldest. And May is named as Elder Law Awareness Week. So we're going to talk about senior citizens or anybody age 55 and older when it's time to think about possible issues that may arise. And please note, today is a live program and you can call us at 844-404-0808 and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Okay? So, however, please be aware that although I do provide some legal information, it doesn't constitute legal advice. Today, during my programs, I just talk, and it's for informational purposes only. I want you to be informed about the possibilities so you can make informed decision about your assets, about your own well-being, about your families, about your loved ones, and your general affairs. All right? So, my dear audience that's 55 and older. I know you do not consider yourself elders, but it's time to think about the future. Although during the pandemic, the awareness and interest in estate planning increased considerably, I had a lot of clients starting to think about possibility of imminent death, but still, during the last research, they found out that actual percentage of people who do have estate planning decreased from 60% to 44%, and it is so scary. I do receive calls every day about the need of probate, about the situations where it's too late, when people do not have documents properly executed, and now we have trouble, we have to spend a lot of money, time, nerves, etc. So we're trying to avoid that. So what is the most relevant and most often called for issues that older people call my office with? First of all, usually, especially for our community, is a possible qualification for Medicare. And it is a very controversial issue for some purpose, for some reason rather, because a lot of people in our communities, they fear that if they own a house, or if they own a certain amount of money, or if they win, let's say, personal injury award, they will not be able to qualify for Medi-Cal. I've seen situations when people can qualify for Medi-Cal, but because of fears, because of some neighbors who told them the wrong information, or friends or family, they're waiting to qualify for Medi-Cal and spending their own money for medical services that could have been covered by this insurance. So, for example, you can have a house and qualify for Medi-Cal. It is not forbidden. What happens? Usually, older people, they worked all their life, usually immigrants in our communities, right? They come, they work hard, they pay all kinds of taxes, they purchase a house, they raise their family, and finally time comes for them to qualify for Medi-Cal. They become ill, or with some chronic illnesses, or just disabled in general, or mental illnesses, and they can qualify for Medi-Cal, but they're afraid to submit an application because they have a house. And then a neighbor tells them, or a family member, okay, you have to transfer title of the house to your relative, to your child or whoever. So take the title off your name and then qualify for Medi-Cal. I'm so against this practice because it's totally inaccurate. Government cannot deny your right to live in your own house and deny your medical insurance at the same time. And what happens? I have the client right now who transferred title to her, even not a relative, friend, and now she calls my office trying to find out what she can do to reverse the transaction and what can be done. Or people call me, okay, I transferred title to my son or 50% of property to my son. How, or daughter, how can I make sure that they will not kick me out of the house? Well, you cannot, because unless we can prove that there was some kind of elder abuse, elder financial abuse involved, it was a fair transaction, a gift to your child, and now it is possible to revert it back, but some extra work and extra money have to be paid to put everything back in place, and it was totally unnecessary. And when my clients or future clients are giving this type of advice, I consider it elder abuse, elder financial abuse, which is a huge topic for elder law. It is so often that, I'm sure you've heard the stories when there's an older lady living in a house with some accounts, and suddenly she trusts her either caregiver or family member who are not acting in her best interest, and suddenly title of the property gets transferred, accounts get depleted, and it is a mess. And unless somebody who cares about this older person steps in and raises the issues and concern, nothing can be done. And these old people end up with in miserable situation, especially if there is a mental condition, and they end up sometimes on the street or under the state care. So it is very important for you guys, for you, our people of respected age, please take care of your affairs now, because if you start acting now and execute documents according to which you can provide, people in the future can act, where you provide your wishes, where you tell exactly what you want to do with your life while you're living, while you're disabled, and if you pass away. It's called creation of a living trust, for example, if you qualify, if you need it, where you can tell who gets the house, who gets the accounts, who takes care of you while you're disabled, and you're in charge. So if later on somebody comes in, steps in, and takes you to the local notary and tries to do another trust or another will or another power of attorney, it is so much easier to prove that that was an elder abuse, elder financial abuse, because we have an original document where you created originally while you're being in your right mind and knowing exactly what you want to do with your estate. So the question is right now to you, as things stand now about your affairs, if you become disabled tomorrow or if you pass away tomorrow, what is going to happen to your assets, to your family, to your children, to your business, and everything else? All right, so we started from medical and transformed to the whole picture of your state of affairs. So, back to medical. So you can qualify for medical having a house. Please know that. Another good news for medical, possible new medical applications. As of right now, and as it used to be, you cannot have more than $2,000 on your account, in any of your liquid accounts, in order to qualify for Medi-Cal. Well, it is changing, thank God. Something good was done in the state of California for our older people population. And now you can have up to $130,000, I think, starting July of this year, I believe so. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. And so you can actually have savings, some savings for yourself, to spend on yourself, and qualify for Medi-Cal. For more specific information, please either contact your advisor or CPA or Medi-Cal or social worker to find out more details, or call my office. I'll be happy to assist. So that's Medi-Cal. So if you cannot, we all think that we're immoral, right? And older population now is very active, actually, involved with their grandchildren, in a business and everything. But you have to think about the future. What is going to happen if you become disabled tomorrow? If you cannot manage your affairs? So for that, there are several documents that can be executed relatively easy, and we'll start with the power of attorney. I cannot stress enough, I know if you watched my show before, you've probably heard about it, but I see situations every day when people call me and there's nothing we can do except for going to courts and asking for conservatorship. So power of attorney can become effective upon your disability, either mental or physical, and usually two licensed physicians, independent, have to provide statement that you are disabled, and or if you're away from the city, state, etc. If you're traveling a lot lately after the pandemic, especially senior citizens back to normal and love to travel. So while you're away from a house and somebody can take care of your banking, mortgage, everyday activities, etc. And so power of attorney, it's for usually financial, all your financial and legal matters. It is relatively simple document. However, you don't necessarily need an attorney for that. You can Google power of attorney, see the form. However, of course, I will tell you that forms that you can find online are not really that comprehensive and do not provide the wide variety of powers that you are going to transfer. Of course, I do recommend contacting and talking to the lawyer and finding out what is the best document for you to use. And that could be general power of attorney that becomes effective upon your disability, or it can be limited power of attorney for certain transactions. For example, the client who was leaving the country for a couple of months and they wanted their attorney effect, it was their nephew, to do banking operations for the business while they're gone. So we've issued that limited power of attorney, and there were no problems, and it was limited for this specific task. So that is possible. Also, there is a medical power of attorney where you appoint people who you want to be able to make medical decisions for you while you're disabled. Because if you do not create this form, which is very important for older population, for senior citizens, then you're at the mercy of the medical providers. And for example, I had situations when people would call the hospital and ask about the condition of their loved one, usually it's a parent, or even a spouse, and they wouldn't be given an answer. And one nurse that's on duty will give them an answer and say, hey, yes, this is the condition, this is the medical treatment that we're doing, and this is the next step. Then shift changes and another nurse comes in, and she doesn't want to talk to you at all. She tells, okay, do you have the papers? I cannot talk to you. So you're at the mercy of medical providers, and you don't want that because it's your loved one, it's your mother or it's your father you care deeply about, and you're being denied important medical information. So if you want that your family members can have a say in your medical treatment, finding out your medical condition, you have to create these documents. Lodge them with your primary care physicians. So in case of emergency, your your daughter, son, husband, nephew, neighbor, whoever you name, can access your information immediately and can make decisions for you. Very important. Then there is Advanced Healthcare Directive. That's where you can make your final wishes known. What do you want to be done with your body, with your last minutes of your life? Do you want them to pull the plug if you're on life support, or you want them to keep you as much as possible? Do you want to be resuscitated, or you don't? Well, I had a very sad situation where I know the woman was terminally ill, and she didn't want to be resuscitated. However, no, and I know that personally. However, there were no documents executed. And when time came, medical personnel asked family members what do they want to be done. And family, very selfishly, because we want our loved ones in our lives, right? Told medical doctors to please do resuscitate. So she was saved. She was resuscitated with broken bones and everything. And then she had another half a year of her life, but she was miserable. She told me personally that she hates the situation. She doesn't know why she's here, suffering. And all that happened because she did not have her wishes known. It wasn't in writing. It wasn't provided to medical personnel. So it was heartbreaking to watch her, declining. So on this sad note, we will go for the break, and we'll be back.
Տարիների ընթացքում ձեռք եք բերում սեփականություն, կուտակում եք մեծ գումարներ, իսկ մտածել եք, թե ինչ է լինելու դրանց հետ ապագայում։ Լավագույն որակավորում ունեցող իրավաբան Մարիա Պրիմուշկոն իր բազմամյա հաջողակ փորձով կօգնի ձեզ ժառանգության փոխանցման, կտակ կազմելու եւ ձեր ունեցվածքն ապահով պահելու հարցում։ Estate planning, bankruptcy, personal injury եւ այլ իրավական հարցերով դիմեք MVP Law Group։ Ձեր ընտանիքի ապագան կախված է այսօրվա կայացրած որոշումից։ 818 788 7881
And we're back. So that was a sad situation, but I'm going to tell you a good story now, right? Because there's always good and bad happening. That's why I'm here. So when actually everything worked out. In our communities, spouses frequently get divorced or separated for various reasons. We're not going to talk about that. However, and they continue living together and being family for themselves, but on paper they're divorced. So I had this couple that was divorced. One of them was creating a living trust, and I insisted that ex-husband also executes documents. So I was preparing the package for the wife, and I insisted that, okay, we have to make this package, power of attorney, healthcare directive, and HIPAA forms for the husband as well, ex-husband as well. And several weeks later, I received a call of this crying ex-woman, but excited and happy and thanking me because her ex-husband suffered a stroke and was transported to the hospital. And she was telling me, but for these documents that I insisted that they execute, she was provided access to his medical information, protected medical information, and she was able to make decisions on his behalf about his treatment, etc. So it is very important. I cannot stress it enough. Please go and do these 3 forms. Then, what other elder law issues can arise? It's a long-term disability. People usually, the studies show that people of age of 65 and older have at least one kind of disability. And we're getting older, health is declining, and we progressively develop all kinds of chronic conditions and issues, body aches and pains. Also, there's consideration for family history. If we know that our parents, grandparents suffered from some kind of illness, we can kind of be aware that we might be next and we should get ready for it. Where I'm going with? If you develop a chronic illness that requires long-term care, which means that you cannot do several things by yourself, dressing, feeding yourself, going to the bathroom, everyday activities, and need constant medical attention, you will require long-term care. And where does who does pay for long-term care? It could be either in-home assistance, where you call somebody to come in and take care of you, medical personnel like nurses and or caregivers. Or you can be staying at the facility where they're watching you. So who pays for it? It can be paid out of your own pocket. So all your savings, you worked all your life, you have a house, you have bank account, you made savings which you wanted to spend on your retirement or pass on to your children or grandchildren. Now, if you have that illness that requires long-term care, you have to spend it all before qualifying for medical which we spoke in the beginning. Now, thank God, you can have at least 130,000 in a couple of months to hold on to. But if you have anything higher than that, larger amount in your savings, you'll have to deplete that until that minimum before you can qualify for any other assistance. And all your wishes that you wanted this money to go to your family or a family become unresolved, and there's always a chance that there are special techniques, special trusts that can be created where we can take your savings and take away from your name and legally hide it from all kinds of agencies, so that gives you a chance to qualify for all necessary government assistance, plus you're saving the money and your wishes are made clear, and your family will receive that inheritance that you wanted them to get. So you either pay off from your account. If you were aware of a long-term care insurance coverage that exists and were able to purchase it, actually, that is good also. So long-term care insurance can cover your costs, and then you don't need that extra plan. And of course, that long-term care insurance have to be sufficient to cover your monthly expenses. And standard room at the facility is $300 per day. So it's almost like living in a luxury hotel, right? It is quite expensive, but the way of life in this type of rate, at this type of rate, 300, 350 per day, it's not the best at all that you can allow yourself or your children may want for their parents. So, and often children will have to spend their own money to provide the best for their parents. And as a matter of fact, right now I have a client, a concerned son whose mother fell. She was very active, 75-year-old woman. And she's living alone, taking care of her own affairs, very sharp, bright, everything's good, just doing well in her life. But she fell and hit her head, and as a result, she had a lot of. She was forced to be transferred to this facility because she couldn't take care of her own, and son lives in a different city. So now the question is, who was going to pay for that long-term care? And people, especially in our communities, often think that Medicare not Medi-Cal. Medicare will cover those costs because Medicare is the insurance for the for elder people, right? Well, to the certain extent. Medicare will pay usually only up to 90 days of long-term care, because Medicare is a type of insurance that covers the necessary treatment with the expectation that you'll get better, you will recover and go back to your regular life, regular activities. So it could be a broken bone, a stroke after which you can recover fast. So this type of illnesses and injuries. But if it goes beyond 90 days, then you're out of luck. You either have to pay by yourself or qualify for Medi-Cal, or if you have long-term care insurance, which we've covered already. What else we can talk about? Elder financial abuse, I want to talk about that, and wrong decisions that people make. So, for example, I have a client right now who, so she also worked hard all her life. She has her own condominium, and which it costs quite significant with all the price increases. It costs a lot right now. But she cannot afford paying taxes, and she cannot afford, because she's a senior citizen and relies only on her Social Security income, and she has no family. So, and HOA dues are ridiculous, as you probably know. So she decided to give title of her condominium to a person she knows and trusts, she thinks she trusts, in exchange of him taking care of her and paying for all the dues, HOA and taxes for the apartment, for the condominium. What's wrong with that? First of all, she lost almost all of her rights to the place. She can be evicted, for example. He may force her to pay rent. What other options were available for her? First of all, creation of living trust. She could create a living trust that she wants to receive all the care, and at the end, when she passes away, she will devise this property to this caregiver, to this person who she trusts. Another option is that she could transfer title just as she did, but with but keeping for herself a life estate. Basically, it's a deed where you write, okay, I gift this property to this person, but I reserve the right to reside on this property until I pass away, or knowingly and willingly tell you that I'm not going to live here anymore, I'm leaving and I don't want anything to do with you, for example. So there are options. Other issues that I face with older people is nursing homes. Unfortunately, although most of them doing the right thing, it is often that we hear about abuse that's happening in nursing homes. And you have to be aware of it. Please, all the audience, if you have your friends and family, older people that you know, keep an eye on them. Ask questions, what's going on? See if they feel insecure, if they feel afraid, if they watch, when they talk to you, they look at their caregiver or to their family member for approval, or being scared to ask questions or to tell something. Watch for those hints, because unfortunately elder abuse is happening everywhere and all the time. I receive calls often, for example. I have this nephew who took all the money from the account and ran away. Or, as I told before, signing another will or another power of attorney and taking the money and running away. That is very sad, because usually older people, they trust people, and they want to be to trust, and they want to be taken care of, and it is often that they get abused. So please watch for those hints and alert everybody about it. So, and if you do not create your plan, then if you become disabled incapacitated, then your family will have to petition the court and ask for the conservatorship to be appointed as a conservator over you, or guardian, as we say. And that is a very expensive and humiliating process. So instead of you making decision who will be in charge of your affairs, of your health, of your well-being, who will take care of you, the judge will decide who will take care of you. I'm sure it is not your intention. So what I want to do, what I want to make sure that you are my friends, that you are in charge of your life, that you are making decisions, that you have the power. Remember, your future depends on the decisions you make today. Have a great day, and I will see you next week. Bye.
Տարիների ընթացքում ձեռք եք բերում սեփականություն, կուտակում եք մեծ գումարներ, իսկ մտածել եք, թե ինչ է լինելու դրանց հետ ապագայում։ Լավագույն որակավորում ունեցող իրավաբան Մարիա Պրիմուշկոն իր բազմամյա հաջողակ փորձով կօգնի ձեզ ժառանգության փոխանցման, կտակ կազմելու եւ ձեր ունեցվածքն ապահով պահելու հարցում։ Estate planning, bankruptcy, personal injury եւ այլ իրավական հարցերով դիմեք MVP Law Group։ Ձեր ընտանիքի ապագան կախված է այսօրվա կայացրած որոշումից։ 818 788 7881